Good morning, everyone. I have to get up early before church so I can get this recorded and sent off. It is definitely a fall presence here in the air. Got branches on the table here, more leaves, and more nuts falling off the trees. Okay, I gotta adjust this down so I can sit back. We have some interesting times. I refer to often the Revelation 12 verses. The first part of it we've seen, 1 through 3, because that's the sign that we saw in the skies. That's over 6 years ago. Coming up on 7 next year. And if we're right on the calendar, everybody is doing their best to try to calculate when all these things should be. And we really can't. There's been too much manipulation of the calendars to be 100% right. A lot of people think they have, and I applaud their attempts. Barry Oz won for that. He's got a really good timeline to bring us up to date where all the things line up. I like listening to Brenda Weltner. I don't teach her style of tribulation. Not that I don't agree or disagree with it. It took a lot of time to come to the conclusion that she did. And I frankly don't have the time to put into the research to verify whether she's right or not. So, like I said before, we can always agree to disagree when it comes to prophecy. But if she's right, we're very, very close. Back to Revelation 12. I'm not going to read it to you because I've read it to you enough. You can go follow up on it. 12:4, it talks about the second sign, the great dragon, sending a third of his angels to the earth to destroy the male child that's going to be born. Well, we've been told in other places, I do have my coffee with me. In other places, that Israel will need to be in travail. The pains of labor pains. We're in that phase. We've all pretty much agreed on that are watching the end times. Is she about ready to have birth? Well, labor pains are associated with war in the Bible. And we now have a war in Israel. We can argue whether it's the Psalm 83 war or not. Could be. Some argue that it's already happened. But it also says there will be wars and rumors of wars. Some of the wording is ethnos versus ethnos, which is ethnic relations, close ties between people. Well, the children of Esau and the children of Isaac, there's ethnos involved there, isn't there? Could be. Anyway, we're covering it. It's a war, and it's already been one day. There's been more people killed than in the Yom Kippur War. There's so many wars over there, it's hard to keep track of what's what. The 67 war, 73. Satan does not want God's chosen people to succeed. If he could wipe them off the face of the earth, he would. And he's got his people over there lined up, goose step, to do that. The Muslims have no claim to the Temple Mount, none whatsoever. It's all a bunch of lies. They lie and then murder people. They lie and murder people. Who does that sound like they're working for? Does that sound like they're working for God? They're working for Satan. The Muslims are working for Satan. Now, there's got to be some good ones in there somewhere, but we don't see them because they don't do anything to harm people. The only ones that we see are the radicals that step forward, and the world doesn't shut them down. Our illustrious president just gave $6 billion to Iran. 2 weeks later, Hamas attacks. Connection? There's always a connection when there's politics involved. They give trillions to Ukraine, a country that we have no interest in whatsoever. How much are they going to give to Israel? They got a few billion. Not anywhere near the amount the Ukrainians got. They're going to need to have replacements for all their defense missiles they're firing up. Iron Dome works most of the time. There were some cases where it didn't work. Why? They're still firing. 90% of the weapons that they're firing are definitely their bottle rockets. Now, they're bigger than a bottle rocket, but that's my example. You just put it in a bottle and you light it, and it goes wherever it wants. And hopefully, if you wanted to hit something, you would try to hit something with it. But if they use precision guidance, they could hit anything they want. And whether or not the Iron Dome could keep up, we haven't seen it tested yet. And so the sites that did get hit was either because they overwhelmed it or they used some advanced missiles. I don't know that Hamas has them. Hezbollah definitely has them, because we've caught them, or Israel has caught them going across Syria. And Hezbollah kind of chimed in a little bit. They launched a few missiles and a couple of drones, and they quickly got shot down. They have to be prepared to go to a full war. The Taliban says they want to join in, but they can't. They're landlocked. They have to get through either Jordan or Iran to come around. This whole battle yesterday stinks to high heaven of something. I hate bringing up conspiracy theories, but the President of the United States pays Iran a bunch of money, and then they attack. They basically freed up money that was tied up in banks. Same thing. They break out of a fence, that's a very high fence, without setting off any alarms. There are alarms associated with it. There are cameras on it. Nobody said it saw anything. There's going to be some investigation. We know that Israel, just like our country here, is divided. Satan has got part of Israel locked up. Because these are not Christians. Jews are not Christians. They could be, but they're not. They haven't had the two witnesses in 144,000 yet. So they're still over there. They're going to Israel simply because they are Jewish, not because of God. Most of them probably don't even do anything in the way of a Sabbath day. Oh, there's plenty over there that are religious, but they're not the majority. And there are Jews all over the world still. They haven't all gone there. We just saw where some were killed. Was it in Turkey? Satan hates the Jews. And you can find Satan's followers by looking to see who's killing Jews. It's very easy to find them. Okay, so there is potentially a conspiracy going on that they've covered up. How do you overtake a checkpoint, a military checkpoint? Did these people just walk away? Did they sneak in? Did somebody let them in? There's too many unanswered questions right now. We may find that the opposition to, there's this group in Israel right now, it's the anti-Bibi group. They brought Muslims into their council that they have to have in order to have a president. They brought radical Muslims in last time to form their government to keep Bibi out. People like him because he doesn't put up with this stuff. But I think that you're going to find eventually that this group of people that wants Bibi out so bad are working for Satan, and they went in there and they covered up a lot of what's going on. They didn't let the military know about it. How do they do it? I don't know. Do they have moles everywhere that they've got out there that are working together on this conspiracy? I don't know. It is a conspiracy. It's treason. And a lot of people have died. I think the current count is 650, 4,000 or 5,000 injured, and there's still a bunch of missing. The fog of war makes things difficult, but they just found another, I guess it's 200 to 300 bodies at this outdoor event that was going on, where the Muslims just came in. There may not have been very many of them, but they had assault rifles. The ones that we're so fearful here in this country. Not us, the government. We have assault rifles that are better than what they had when they created the law. And every rifle is an assault rifle. A pistol is an assault pistol. Everything is an assault. They're meant to kill people. You don't use them unless you intend to kill people. I mean, obviously hunting and things like that, but just to have them for protection. It's designed to kill people. And it's designed to destroy a government who's trying to overthrow the people's will. That's what it's in there for. That's why the Constitution is there. And they're doing exactly what it was designed to prevent. So they're rightfully afraid. But they're evil, and most people have enough good in them, they're not going to do this type of stuff. So I don't think that we're going to ever see this country in a coup or anything like that. Of course, I don't call for any violence. We don't need to. This is a spiritual war. Okay, trying to stay on topic. So, where could this eventually play out? Well, if it's the Psalm 83 war, there'll be some godly help. There's been some satanic help to get it started. And nobody is going to help them. They're surrounded by Muslim countries. Totally surrounded. And they're small. And they've had their country chopped up. Our government's been part of that. Different administrations. Give them some land, then you'll have peace. No. Land for peace does not work when you've got crazy people, satanic people. Doesn't work. All it did is put them closer. We're going to see some fighting coming up. Bibi announced that he was going to make them pay big time. So he's going to have to do something. Street fighting is not good. There's one thing that they do that most countries don't do, so applaud Israel for this. They have their knock-knock bomb or whatever. If they're going to destroy a building, they drop something on the roof to let everybody know that they're going to attack the building. Give people time to get out. And they've taken a couple of large buildings down recently. It's amazing, you watch these, demolition buildings where they deliberately want to take a building down and they set explosives throughout it and it falls down. Well, they came in with their jets and dropped bombs and did the same thing. Precision. It's amazing. But they are basically an island in a sea of hate. Now, not all the people in these countries are hateful, but their leaders certainly are. You say, well, how come they put Hamas in Gaza? They didn't. They put the Palestinians in there. And Hamas, funded by Iran, came in there and took over. The same with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Palestinians come in there, boom. They put a terrorist organization in there with Gestapo-type tactics, and they just take over. They had a president for a while who was a figurehead, but he really didn't do anything. He couldn't do anything because Hezbollah wouldn't let him. And it's it tried to be the same way in Syria, but Syria got more international involvement, where Russia's in there now, we're in there. It can't really go back to that type of a proxy. These are all proxy people, and Iran is behind it. Will Israel attack Iran? I think ultimately they may. They're the ones ultimately responsible. Hezbollah wouldn't be there if Iran wasn't funding them. And Iran would be broke if we weren't funding Iran. Netanyahu is being very diplomatic with us, because he does get some help from us, from the United States. Because they can't deliberately come out and attack Israel, even though our leaders working for, and I so much want to say it, but this is going on YouTube. You know my fake name for him, Charles Schwab. He's a Nazi. He wants the Jews dead. And our leadership is working for him. They've gone to his school, how to be a one-world government dictator, or part of it. And out of these kings, the Antichrist is going to come. So they're all in on this. Well, before I forget, China's muscling their way in a little bit more into the Taiwan area, more jets in the area. I told you before that they're going to attack Taiwan as soon as there's something big enough to distract from what they're doing. It's hard to fight multi-fronts. It's also hard to follow in the news multi-fronts and wars. Okay, so what's going to happen in Israel? Israel completely surrounded. I don't know what they're waiting on. Attrition? I don't know. Hamas is going to be destroyed here shortly, and they're going to be done with one part of this multi-legged attack. So they're going to have to move fairly quickly. I would think that within the next week, there's going to be, all of them are going to be attacking Israel. Israel is going to have no choice but to defend themselves. But they're going to be overwhelmed, and they will basically wipe Israel off the face of the earth, were it not for two reasons. God eventually, but he's letting them, he's given them their wake-up call. There's got to be a place for these 144,000 to talk. They got to have ears that are listening, because they just got their behinds kicked. But they're going to have to basically use a nuke. Damascus, one good spot. We've got 3 cities, or 3 areas, that have been told us in the Bible that are going to be laid waste. Damascus is one of them. Amman, Jordan, another one. And Edom, which is on the west coast of Iran, along the the Suez Canal. So those are 3 areas that are going to be laid waste. Now, we may not have to do a whole lot with Edom, because that's where all the nuclear plants are that Iran is using. Because, I mean, they've been making their own nuclear material for some time, and they've been enriching it for some time. So we could go up on its own, send some commandos in there, and you could take those out without a whole lot of effort. You don't need to launch a full-scale nuclear attack there. But they've got to demonstrate that you've pushed the tiger in a corner, and now he's frightened, and he will defend himself. So I think Damascus would be the easiest to get its closest, That or Amman, but probably Damascus first, then Amman. The first one's not going to be enough. It's like in World War II. We have 2 atomic bombs. The first one wasn't enough. They saw the power, but they were stubborn, and we had to drop a second one. If they had known we didn't have a third one, we might still be fighting. But we know Israel has quite a number of them. They've never announced how many, but they have quite a number. So that's where I think we're heading, as we're getting into that. But I think it's time for us to get out of here before that. I told you we're in high watch. And I told you something big was going to happen yesterday. God gives me hints about things happening, but without giving me full details. We're not supposed to know day to day what God's plan is. It's not for us to know. But occasionally He'll give us something. I just had a warning on Friday for yesterday, but I didn't know what it was. I still got a warning. And I cannot see us being here very much longer. And if it fits the Revelation 12 sign, He's going to come down to get us. The dragon is going to come down to get us. Guess what we've got going on right now? The Dragonid meteor shower. Starts off in Draco, the dragon constellation. This is the biggest meteor shower. Tonight and tomorrow are the biggest nights. It's been going on since the 6th, but the peak nights are tonight and tomorrow night. Dragonid meteor shower. Stars falling from the skies. Revelation 12. He's going to sweep with his tail a third of his stars, as they're called. It could be literal and it could be figurative. God likes to play that way with wording. If that's the case, and Brenda Weltner just talked about this, it could be 8 days till the rapture from yesterday. Could be. We don't know for sure. But it could be. In any case, whether it's today, tomorrow, a year from now, it's soon. Because the world is lining up with what Revelation said it's going to look like. And Israel is a country now. They can build a temple now. Up until then, until 1948, they couldn't build a temple in Israel. One thing this war might bring about is the destruction of the Dome of the Rock. Wouldn't it be nice if one of these countries launching one of their missiles, and they don't travel where they want them to go, lands and blows it up, or they blow up their own mosque, or their own shrine. In reality, they don't own anything there. It's not theirs. It was built as a shrine to where the temple was. It was a tourist track. There are brochures out there. I've seen pictures of them and people holding them up. There are brochures that says, "Welcome to the shrine of the Jewish temple." They made money off of that. Saudi Arabia paid for the gold top in the 30s, I think. Well, I didn't really want to talk about it too long because I don't want to be a date setter. But I did allude as a possible date for the rapture. Somewhere along there. 8 days. We talked about it in a previous video. 8 days. They talked about that in War of the Worlds. I think they use 6 days, though. They go, they can destroy the world in 6 days. And one of the guys goes, and that's how long it took to create the world. Cool writing. And technically, it took God 8 days for us. I think I talked about that too. 6 days to create it, a day of rest, and then we were put in charge on the 8th day. God uses numbers over and over again. Is he using them here? Don't know. Which set is he using? Quite frankly, it doesn't really matter which set he's using because they're all close together. 6, 7, 8. We've either got 3.5 years or 7. And whatever it is, it's shortened. As God said, if I didn't shorten the days, no one would be alive. There isn't much time left. Make sure you're right. I was going to do a different video for today, but with this war continuing to drag on, and it looks like with Hezbollah slowly tipping their hat of where they want to go, they were just testing the waters, and they can't come in this in a half-word. They're going to have to go full bore. And they have as many, if not more, missiles in Lebanon. They're also testing to see what Israel's response is going to be. And now we have to see. We don't know yet. What they've done doesn't equal the amount of attack that's happened yet. So they've got more to do, Israel does. Because if they were to stop right now, they could do another attack tomorrow from Gaza. But we've got, a lot of people around them that want to join in. They're just a little bit afraid to. Gaza did it. You've got the West Bank. You've got the borders of Egypt and the borders of Lebanon and Syria, Golan Heights. There's lots of areas where they can attack from. If I remember, I'll put a map up so you can see. There's been a lot of maps. That's the only thing I don't do with my videos. I could have done that when I was in the studio, but being outdoors like I am now, it's hard to hold up a whiteboard. I mean, I could draw pictures on it for you. There's enough whiteboard people out there. You can find them. Make sure you're going is my next video. I was going to do that today, but I think with the war going on, it's important to point out that if this continues to escalate, it is full prophecy. Partial prophecy is covered by the wars and rumors of wars. But if it continues to escalate, it will be a specific war. And I think that's going to become so blatant that God's not going to leave us down here. Satan's going to continue to attack. He's going to eventually get kicked out of heaven. We definitely don't want to be down here for that. Okay. Pray for friends and family. Pray for this ministry. Pray for anything that you think of that God tells you, pray for. Pray without ceasing. You can cover everybody you can think of in that time frame. Pray for Israel. God will take care of them, but always pray. He likes to hear from us. And keep warning people. They need to be warned. You need to warn the non-Christians and the pseudo-Christians, which is what I'll talk about tomorrow or the next day. I might have to go back to a daily with all the stuff going on. There's so much news coming out. We'll see. God only knows. He has to give me the topics. If he doesn't give me the topic, I don't know what to talk on. And after I've talked on it, it's gone. And I throw away my paper that I have notes on. I didn't read anything from the Bible, but I'm going to give you a couple of verses And you can go do that because we're at my time limit. For Damascus, you can read Isaiah 17:1, where it talks about that. And for Ammon and Edom, you've got Jeremiah 49, starting in verse 1. It talks about their destruction. These are prophets, proven prophets, not wannabe prophets of today. There are people out there that saying, I've had this, I keep having dreams. I'm having a dream now today that I'm going to talk about. Satan can talk to you in dreams too, if you're not staying close to God, so be careful. It won't be long. That's a given. It could be just days. Be ready till we meet in the clouds. God. A little taste of fall. If it has temperatures like this much longer, you'll be able to see the leaves falling. We're completely surrounded by trees here, so there will be lots of raking coming up here soon.